Welcome back to the Dialed In podcast. I'm Mo, and as always, I'm here with my buddy Gene. Gene, how you doing?
It's been a while.
Dude, it's been like 6 months since we've sat down to record.
Crazy. Life has been lifing.
Life has definitely been lifing. We got a lot to talk about today. There's stuff that we've just had a running list that may be way too outdated for us to talk about, so we'll decide as we go if it makes sense. I think today we want to talk about, well, what do we want to talk about, Gene?
I don't know, a little stream of consciousness. Clearly we should catch up.
Yep.
And I think both of us probably have some new purchases that are worth highlighting.
Yes, the disease.
And and we've been out and about. We've seen some watches in the wild, so maybe worth talking about that too.
Okay, cool. And then our next episode, I think, just to tease it, we'll do some, like, where is the watch industry right now? We got Watches and Wonders coming up in a month.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, some predictions, which I guess everyone out there loves.
Yes.
Predictions with no authority or knowledge, I should say. But we'll get to that in the next episode. All right, everyone, well, buckle up. It's good to be back. And as always, there's no barrier to entry here on the Dialed In pod, just a love for watches. So with that, Gene, let's get dialed in. Why the hell have we been gone for 6 months?
Well, I think there's been a few milestones in both of our lives, new jobs.
Indeed, both of us.
Yeah, both of us.
We have not had a chance really to like get together so often either. I think you've been spending a lot of time in LA.
That's right.
I have been in New York most of the time, but we've done some traveling, both of us individually. And I wanted to get into some of that today. But I think first, just because we teed it up, let's talk about some new acquisitions.
Sure. Well, might be worth just talking about what I'm wearing today. So I've got on a Oris Big Pointer Bullseye, which is a new release from, I think, this year.
Is this your first Oris?
It's actually my second. I got, I want to say it was probably close to 8 or 9 years ago. One of the, and I can't remember the exact reference, but it's one of the brass cases. And so the idea there, which was so interesting to me, was that it would patina over time and maybe do some cool things. Which I still have, actually, but this one in particular, and towards sort of the idea that life has been lifing, it originally purchased from my dad, and my dad, who unfortunately passed pretty recently. He had some problems with his vision, and so if you can recall, we talked about this a few episodes back. I actually got him a Rolex Datejust, and he had difficulty reading it because it didn't have numbers on it, and sort of indices were an issue for him. And so the Big Pointer with the Bullseye dial actually has numbers. So the idea was that he would be able to hopefully wear it with a little less fear that it might get stolen, and also be able to use it because it had numbers. With everything that happened, it's mine now. It has very special meaning because of that, and look forward to wearing it. I love it. I actually love the way that it looks, and I think the dial's really interesting and kind of calls back to some of the vintage Big Pointers that Oris had back in the day. So I'm looking forward to making it a part of the permanent collection. And it's been maybe not every day, but I've worn it pretty frequently over the last month or so.
Dude, I think that's so special, and obviously, just take a moment to say I'm so sorry for the loss. I remember that episode well when you talked about your dad and sort of why it was so special to be able to get him that Rolex to begin with. Even knowing that you went super sober on the type of Rolex you got him, and you knew that he was still going to find it probably too flashy to wear all the time. But we had actually a lot of people reach out either on the Instagram. Just say it was really special to hear you talk about him, and I know how much he meant to you. So very sorry for that loss, and obviously, listeners, you can imagine why we haven't had time to sit down and record recently. On a lighter note, like now you have something that unfortunately you were never able to give him, but I'm sure every time you look down at your wrist is just like a good memory, hopefully, of him, and that's really nice.
What about you? What are you wearing today?
So I definitely don't have much of a sentimental story around it, but I absolutely love this watch. This is also a new acquisition since the last time we recorded. I bought this in October, actually, at my previous job had just closed like a pretty grueling deal. With that, I wanted to celebrate with something special. I had been eyeing a Royal Oak, but a very specific, somewhat rare Royal Oak, the Yves Klein dial. And it's a 14790, so it's a 36 millimeter Royal Oak, super, super thin. To me, like, this is what a Royal Oak should be. It is so incredibly thin and wearable. And, you know, with a 36, when it's a Royal Oak, just because of the end links and stuff, it really wears like it's a 38, 39, you know? And it's wild because my existing Royal Oak in my collection before I had this is a 41 millimeter one, which I don't even know how I ever wore at this point because it's just, it feels so big now. But to those who don't know, and I'll obviously post some pictures and link you to the gram and stuff, but the Yves Klein dial is named after, unofficially named after, I should say. I don't think AP ever called it this themselves, after an artist named Yves Klein, who basically was popular in the, I want to say 1950s and 60s for just creating these like very big blue paintings. And when I say they're blue, it was literally just blue. You know, it wasn't really of anything other than this color blue. It was such a special blue and a special process for how he created it that he actually was able to patent the color.
That's what I thought.
And so it's called Klein Blue. And it's just a really stunning, sharp, you know, I want to call it royal, but it's much more bright than a royal blue would be. It definitely stops people in their tracks when they see it, including myself, even if I'm in a meeting. And as I'm talking now and rambling, I'm looking at it and losing my train of thought. Absolutely love it. You know, I actually was never someone who bought into, oh, there's a premium on this piece because there's a special dial. You know, like, and let's unpack that a bit. I think of like Arabic numerals, and I don't mean Arabic numerals, like, I mean like what they call them Hindu Arabic numerals, right? Where they don't look like the you know, English lettering, numbering system. Those command such a premium because they're rare and they're only made in the Middle East market. To me, they're cool, but you know, would I pay double the price for a date just because it has that dial? Probably not. And so this, you know, when you look at traditional 14790s out there, which by the way, you should, if you're in the market for a Royal Oak and you want to find like a value or a deal, like 14790s are the way to go. Feel free to message us about this because like I have so many thoughts on this. It is the perfect rendition of a Royal Oak, and I'm even saying that compared to the Jumbo. But there is a significant premium for a Yves Klein dial, even more so for the Ferrari red dials, which are even rarer. But I never thought I'd be that guy who paid the premium, almost double what a normal 14790 is.
Klein Blue is really gorgeous color. It's the perfect blue.
It really is. It really is, and it's super cool, and I love it. This one's never leaving the collection. You could check me on this.
I feel like we've heard that before.
I can see your skepticism. But yeah, so that's what I'm wearing. That was one of the new acquisitions. While we're on this train of thought, why don't we keep going here? What else have we got?
Well, I'm trying to think. Well, one of the acquisitions, pretty recent. I actually purchased a Blancpain, the Hodinkee 50 Fathoms Special Edition.
I love that watch.
It has the moisture indicator. For me, and people can disagree, it really is the perfect example of the 50 Fathoms. It's 40 millimeters, which is the right size. It has matte dial, in addition to which it removes the Blancpain branding on the case. It's brushed instead of polished. I just think in this instance, Hodinkee really made just incredibly thoughtful decisions about this special edition, and in my mind, it's really just the best modern version of a 50 Fathoms. So I was able to grab that.
Couldn't agree more. And there's no date window on it.
Yeah.
And I know, okay, so the amount of texts you and I traded back and forth on you considering getting this watch. How long have you been looking for this watch?
Oh, I've been looking for this watch for, well, it was in my cart when it came out, I think in 2021. And I didn't pull the trigger on it. And then I'd say I've been looking seriously at it for probably the last 5 or 6 months, just trying to find a good example at a reasonable price. And the prices have been creeping up a bit, and finally found it.
Well, that makes it seem like it wasn't as much of a process as it was, because I think, you're someone who you'll always reach out to the person that's selling it, whether
Mhm.
they're like a, well-known dealer or just someone on Chrono or whatever it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
And so I think you've had multiple conversations
Yeah.
back and forth with different people,
I've
right?
probably had 3 or 4 like serious conversations about acquiring this watch, from a seller on eBay, to your point, Chrono. I also had a couple of conversations with, what is it, the 1918
Mm.
company. A couple examples popped up there, and had some serious dialogue about purchases along the way, and ended up getting it from a private seller based out of Nashville finally. But yeah, it was hard to find the right example for the price that I was really looking for, and again, all along the way, things were inching up, and in fact, I saw 2 examples on Chrono just recently as I was looking it up, and one is going for, I think, 27.5, and the other one for 30.
Oh, whoa.
It doesn't mean they'll get that, obviously,
Mhm.
but as an asking price, that's much higher than it was 6 or 7 months ago. So I couldn't say what the trajectory will actually be on the way these are selling, but it felt like the right time to pull the trigger, and ended up getting something significantly south of 30, thankfully.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's an awesome watch. And just a little tangent here. I was in Geneva, actually, for the first time I had really been to Geneva as an adult,
Hmm.
just this like winter break. So
Yeah.
Christmas, New Year's. And we could talk about that more in the episode
Hmm.
as we catch up. But just on Blancpain really quickly, I walked into a Blancpain having really never tried many 50 Fathoms, just because
Hmm.
traditionally they're just huge.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
They're gigantic.
They're
I mean, yeah.
gigantic, yeah. What's interesting is that every hotel I stayed at, either in Geneva, I was in Montreux, I was in Stade, like all these places, I saw a lot of 50 Fathoms, which was interesting. Like out in the
Hmm.
wild on wrists, there was a lot more, I want to call it like fanfare
Yeah.
around them than you would ever see in
That's
the
really
US.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I barely see them, here in the U.S.
Totally. And so it made me, just being around them so much, I thought, well, this is like a classier sub. It is like
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
nice watch. And so I thought to myself, I think I had remembered that they had released a smaller version. And so I went to a Blancpain and I tried on and I hate that they do this, but it's like a 38.2 millimeter one. And I tried the steel and I tried the titanium. I also tried the red gold one with like a mother of pearl dial. That one nice, but a little feminine with the
Yeah,
mother of pearl
yeah.
dial. Nothing wrong with that, but just on my wrist, I didn't love it. The 38 millimeter steel one was awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't like it on the bracelet. I think they make it on a bracelet. I liked it on the black rubber strap. Like, so much so that I wanted to buy it right then and there. Dude, do you know how much they're charging for this retail?
Well, that's always been the grievance around the 50 Fathoms, right? Is that, to the extent it's sort of a competitor to the Submariner. They came out at around the same time. There's a dispute as to which came first. But the price point is incredibly high.
Dude, it's absurd.
Yeah.
They're charging over 20,000 US for it. I can't remember the exact price right now, but it was definitely over 20 grand. It was maybe over 18,000 euro or Swiss franc when I
Yeah.
was there.
So you're talking more than double a sub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's that's a good benchmark, right? Because the sub is so iconic. And yes, it's, maybe less, it's not as well finished, if you will. And the movement isn't, the movement's a powerhouse, to be honest. So I can't hate on the sub. I find it a boring watch, to be honest. But beyond that, it's a great watch. Like, no shade on anyone that owns a sub, which is probably most of you. But it is the right benchmark to use. So is it double? Is it worth double a sub? Absolutely not. Like, I'll just answer that very quickly.
Right.
So when I think about that, where should it be priced in the market? I do believe, based on where at least Blancpain wants it to sit, it should sit above a sub, just like I think the Glashütte Regional CQ, that sits above a sub. I think it's a couple $1,000 over a sub, if I'm may be wrong about that. I think this would be less offensive, but still crazy at 15.
Yeah.
And perfectly priced at 12,500, 13,000 US. Now, just knowing where they want it to sit in the market, that would never happen. So 15 still seems like the right price. That would be, I would like have to think a bunch of times, do I get it? Do I not? But I would probably pull the trigger on that. 21,000, get out of my face with that. Like, absolutely not.
I've actually never looked at that particular example on the secondary market. Do you know what
so
they're
it's
going for?
too new. I've been looking, and anything on the secondary is like new unworn, and they're trying to sell it for just around the retail price. Give it like 12 to 18 months, and I think you're going to find it settle somewhere around 15 on the secondary. And I'll probably pull the trigger then. It's a sick watch.
Yeah, I love the watch. I love the sapphire on the bezel in particular. It's unique. It wears really well, and I'm enjoying it a ton.
Awesome. And you have it on a leather strap, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, I mean, it comes on controversially for Mo in particular. It comes on a NATO style strap, and the interesting thing about it is it's 20 millimeters. There's no taper, and so I just thought putting it on I've got it on a matte kind of alligator that tapers a bit, and it softens it a little bit. So I'm enjoying it that way, but I did wear it on kind of the NATO style strap for a while, and it does feel a little more utilitarian that way. I think this gives it a bit more versatility. So
awesome. Awesome. Okay, who went last? You just
yeah. Tell me about some other purchases in your
man. I'm gonna sound
world.
like such a hype beast right now. So
I know this is coming, that's why I'm teeing it up for you.
You mentioned milestones that we've had in our lives, which is both starting. Wait, should I ask? Actually, is that watch the Hodinkee 50 Fathoms? Is that sort of celebrating the new job?
I think I'm probably justifying it for that purpose, and I'll say that in my mind, but I probably would have gotten it anyways.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, either now or in the future, do you think you'll tie it to the job?
Oh yeah,
or
definitely. But I really do think I would have gotten it either which way. But yeah.
Well, then it worked out.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, so me justifying as well a new job that is exciting and fun and kind of different than anything I've been doing for the last decade or so. I wanted to celebrate it with a bang. That's not a pun. I didn't get a big bang or anything.
An ooblo.
Yeah, no. But, in the same vein of hype, and I tried to be different and get something that was a little different. I'll walk you through it, but I'll stop bearing the lead here. I got an Aquanaut 5167A, so steel, the sort of essential Aquanaut that's been around for many years now. It is as good as advertised.
Yeah.
Like I almost didn't want to like it so much. It feels unbelievable on the wrist. It's so light. I forget I'm wearing it sometimes. But then again, it's hard to forget you're wearing it because people are like constantly stopping you and being like, "That's a sick watch."
Yeah, someone did this afternoon.
Yes, at lunch. And the problem is that kind of takes away from it for me. Like I'm not an idiot. I know that when you buy a watch like an Aquanaut, a Nautilus, or a Daytona, you're part of that hype market, and so it's more well known to the masses, if you will. And so I don't like what it says about me. We did that episode a long time ago, is what your watch says about you. I think a lot about that, which I don't like. When I walk out of my house with it, I love it until I get outside, and then I'm sort of like, oof. So that's the one knock I'll put on it. But when I was referencing earlier about me trying to like be a little different when it came to the Aquanaut, because I love the idea of the Aquanaut. I love the wearability of it. I love that you can dress it up or down, and it's just super comfortable. I wanted to maybe go vintage, so I was thinking the 5065, which is the 38 millimeter versus this being 40. And that's the perfect size, in my opinion. It's absolutely perfect. Another difference with that 5065 is that it's the strap has straight spring bars, instead of sort of being curved and looking integrated as these newer ones do. And other than that, the dial's a bit different. You can buy some with some tritium lume, so it gets a little creamy, and it's nice. It's a vintage watch or neo vintage, whatever you want to call it. Then I found this like little pocket of history where I think I'll have to look it up as I talk, but the 5165A. So that was the transition from the 5065 before the 5167 came out. And so that kept the 38 millimeters, call it like the jumbo Aquanaut, if you will. And it had all the modern elements of the Aquanaut. So the integrated rubber strap, the grenade dial as we see it today. And it was only in production from 2007 to 2012. So it was introduced in 2007 to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Aquanaut line. And like I said, 38 millimeters stainless steel. I think everyone kind of calls it the transitional reference. Paul McCartney wears this one very famously. I believe Ringo Starr does as well. Weird Beatles connection there. It is so hard to find one in good condition. And this was important to me to find also full set, because I find like, I don't know, if you're spending that much money and it's like, it's new enough that it matters, like if I'm buying a watch from the 70s or 80s, like I'm not really concerned with full set. This just felt, if it had a 2000 something in front of it, it just felt like it should have box and papers, or just at the very least an extract from the archive. I reached out everywhere about this and I could not find it. 3-4 years ago, there was so much value in this. So like right now, Aquanauts are trading around, depending on condition and year, call it anywhere from 68,000 to 78,000. Okay. A couple of years ago, the 5165, this one I'm talking about, this transitional reference, in the 40s, like significantly, and it looks the same and perhaps even better because of the 38 millimeters. Anyway, that is not the case anymore. They have been driven up in value. They're much more rare. I even went back and forth with John Reardon from Collectability, who I thought if anyone can go find one, it's him. Never really got anywhere there. He said he had just sold one, and they're few and far between these days. So anyway, ended up with a 5167. I'm loving it. It's become like it's very hard to take off my wrist, just like this Yves Klein Royal Oak I spoke about earlier. Both of them, I should mention, I purchased from Material Good, where shout out to Thomas Hendricks. You guys may know him from the Chrono 24 videos. He used to work at Chrono for a long time and did all their content. He's now working at Material Good. Super, super knowledgeable, super nice guy. Like I probably text him way too much, but he puts up with me, and he got both of these watches for me, and I could not be happier with them.
Okay. So speaking of the amount of travel that we've been doing, what's in the watch world currently?
So I actually have one more acquisition that I can jump on.
Sorry,
quickly. No, all good, man. I like I said, disease. I got the opportunity to get a Tudor Blancpain Chrono Flamingo Blue. God, everything I'm mentioning is hyped. By the way. I had the opportunity to get that at retail, not personally, but a friend of mine had been offered it, didn't really want it. I guess wanted it at one point, so asked for it, and very kindly offered it to me if I wanted to snipe it. And I did, because it's an awesome watch. It's like it's a very like, again, if you were buying it secondary, you'd be paying a premium for the dial. Everything about it is exactly the same as the Blancpain Chrono in the Panda version. But it's this striking blue that's like the Miami blue. And it has become my gym watch, which is weird.
It's a lovely gym watch.
Yeah, well, it's weird because it's especially heavy. It is a very thick.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. After we record, I'll show it to you. Yeah. It's very thick.
Well, I was just going to ask you, as someone who has Daytona in the collection, how does it compare with that? Because obviously there's an analogy between the two, being Tudor and Rolex. So you clearly there's a difference in sort of the thickness of the watch, but in terms of wearability, I'm curious how they compare.
So totally different.
Yeah,
And it's really because of the weight and the thickness that it is really thick. Basically, the Daytona is so well designed. The curved lugs.
Yeah. There's an elegance to it, right?
That's the perfect word.
Yeah.
There is zero elegance to the Tudor Blancpain chrono. Okay, so it's 14.2 millimeters thick.
That is thick.
Right, I think the Daytona is close to like 12.
Yeah, I was going to say 11 something, but
yeah, it must be. Yeah, exactly. And this one's also 41 millimeters in diameter.
Okay.
The Daytona, even though it's marketed at 40, I think it's more 39 point something.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's a very different watch, but they serve very different purposes for me. I will say that
no Daytona in the gym.
No Daytona in the gym just yet. I don't know. Maybe my Panda will make an appearance there at some point. But I will say that it comes on the Tudor's version of a Jubilee, and that is an awesome look. So not to get into our next episode, people are saying like, oh, well, they put a Daytona on a Jubilee bracelet.
Yeah.
Like that needs to happen. I know obviously vintage ones, 6263s and 6265s sometimes came on Jubilee, but I think that is kind of a game changer. That I really do like the aesthetic of. Yeah, man. So, I actually have one more acquisition.
Well, I'm done. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Damn. Okay, but hey, this one's not hyped at all.
All right.
This actually is a good time to talk about boomerang watches.
Yeah.
So, Gene, you don't really sell watches very often. I can probably name only one you've sold, but that you have, is that the only one?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Holy shit. Okay. That was a Yachtmaster on Oyster Flex.
Yep.
White gold, 42 millimeters.
That's correct. Good memory.
Well, I remember this very well because you had a embarrassment of riches at the time and had owned both the 40 millimeter rose gold version and a 42 millimeter white gold version. And I think at one point you realized this is ridiculous that I have both of these.
Yes.
I need to get rid of one. That was a very rational sale. I move in and out of watches a lot, right? There's certain ones that have stayed and will continue to stay, and I kind of almost know it the first time I put it on my wrist. One or two that I really regret selling. And one of them I just bought back, but it's the Longa Saxonia Thin with the aventurine dial. So white gold, and I put it on a matte black Longa strap, and the aventurine is just stunning. Obviously, most Longas, like, you almost want to wear them upside down because the movement is so beautiful. This has all the markings of a Longa, so the hand-engraved balance cock, like the just absolutely beautiful manual wind movement. But the dial is something really special.
Yeah.
It kind of like when it catches the light, it just sparkles.
Sure. I mean, it looks like the Starry Night.
Starry Night. Yeah. Exactly. And they make a Longa 1 version of it. I think it's a little Longa 1 that they make, which is marketed towards ladies. And then they made this for a while. I think it's still in production. It is an amazing watch. And I had sold it because, actually, interestingly, this whole trade involves another boomerang watch, my second watch that I boomeranged, which basically I had just gotten a Kermit Submariner, which for those not initiated, it is the green bezel Submariner 16610 version, so the aluminum bezel. And this Longa that I'm talking about, I had just gotten that, and I was in LA for a trip, and I was just shooting the shit with a Rolex dealer out there run by Geary's and talking about how much I love Daytonas, and they just brought out a white gold Daytona for me and said, would you like this? And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it's literally the first or the second time I had met that guy, and that doesn't happen.
No.
And so I was met with a choice, and Wasn't like I was just like rolling in an extra $45,000 at the time. So I knew if I got that watch that I would have to cover it by selling some
I
pieces.
mean, but who says no to that?
Correct. Thank you.
I mean, as long as you have the ability, obviously. But yeah, who says no to that?
So I very quickly decided to sell both the Kermit and the Longa to sort of make up some of the money. And ever since I got rid of that Longa, which I had had for maybe 4 days, I had worn it twice in the wild. Ever since, I have regretted that. Now, in between, I actually bought another Kermit. Right. So that was another boomerang, which has since been sold again.
Which I think should be a signal for something.
100%. Yeah. I will never own that watch again. It's a great watch. Don't get me wrong. Watch. It just doesn't. I don't get anything out of it when I wear it.
I mean, it's it was an anniversary.
Correct.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. Correct. And so that watch went for good a second time, and then very recently, as I was leaving Switzerland, I didn't buy a watch in Switzerland, which was weird. I can tell you what I almost bought. We'll get into that trip in a second. Yeah. And on the way back, I said, well, I had a budget to buy a watch here. And I thought, okay, don't make a stupid rash decision. Like if you not in love with anything, like, and then all I could think of was, why am I being an idiot? Just get that Longa back. Like you miss it so much. And so I did. And I could not be happier. And we were actually just talking about this at lunch. It's not one of these watches that I'm going to wear every day.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you can't. I think it's a very wearable watch. But just knowing what else I have in my collection and what I reach for, I think it's just about being okay having something in the collection that you know you're going to wear maybe 10 times a year. And that's where it fits in the collection.
Just a specific use case that makes sense to have in your collection year to year. I totally get it.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. That was my last one, I think.
You sure? Do you want to take a second to run inventory? Well, when I just got off of my most recent trip, I think I only have a 3-watch roll. The 3 watches that I took were my Cartier Tank Solo with piano dial.
Love that.
I took my Panda Daytona and the 50 Fathoms. Also had the Oris already there in LA, and on the flight, sadly, I wore an Apple Watch.
Classic Gene. Traitor. Okay.
And truth be told, I'm not thinking specifically about where I'm going while I'm there, because I'm typically out there for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. But I'm really just thinking about coverage. Just what is going to be what's going to cover my basis, basically. You think about the Daytona. It's a chrono. It has a very specific place in the collection. White dial, and then I've got the 50 Fathoms, which again time only, and probably a bit more utility and sporty in that way. And then just the Tank Solo with piano dial is a little more elegant, smaller. Probably something a bit more, formal.
Is that a conversation starter? Have you out in the wild with watch people or not watch people? Have people called it out and been like, "What is that?"
Yeah, it's come up a couple of times just because the dial is so unique. Tanks are fairly common. I wore it to the office one day and there were several people that had tanks of different varieties, but the dial is very unique, and usually if someone knows that it's a tank, we'll be like, "Oh, what is that?" So yeah, it definitely starts conversations. It's pretty special. I love it.
That's awesome. I actually truly love that. I always say to you, I don't know why, but it's like it's made for you in a weird way, and I think it's something to do about. So wait, do you wear it on your right wrist typically?
No, I wear it on my left.
Okay, maybe there was a moment where you were wearing it on your right wrist.
I think I have before, but I will generally wear watches on my left. The one thing about my left wrist is that I have a cyst on my wrist that's
that's why.
Developed over time. It's fine. It's not a big deal, but especially if I'm taking pictures or something like that, I will sometimes wear watches on my right wrist just because it looks a little more. It's just not as I don't have a cyst there, so there's not a bump.
Okay, so that makes more sense because your right arm has tattoos.
Yes,
down. It's not like is it? Would you call it a sleeve?
Almost.
Yeah, it's almost a sleeve.
Yeah.
And something about the piano dial and the color, like the black and white shading of your tattoos.
Oh, I never thought about that.
It's so sick. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's
maybe
how
I'll
I
start
think
wearing it on my right. Then.
That's how I think of that watch with you, very
Yeah.
interestingly. Yeah. And forgive me, but there's one more watch that I acquired.
Okay.
I got I really have a problem. At least it's been 6 months since we haven't caught up.
Yeah.
I also got a GMT Master 1. So 16700, which is like a transitional one. So it's not the 1675, and it's not I'm terrible with GMT references, so forgive me. It's not the later one where it goes to, the 16710, I believe, is the GMT Master 2 at the same time. Like there was a point where the GMT Master 1 and 2 were offered at the same time at Rolex. I don't understand why or how. So it's not like your true GMT, if you will. So the hour hand, the GMT hand, I should say, moves with the rest of the watch, and you can't isolate the hour hand. But what I like about the 16700 is that I got I got my birth year. So that was kind of what sparked me getting it. I think we talked about many episodes ago that I love like a vintage or neo vintage GMT in the summer. For some reason, to me, it's like a perfect summer watch. I just think about, I don't know, maybe it's like Magnum PI or something, driving with the convertible in that watch. But
did it come with a Ferrari? Did you get a new car too?
I wish, man. That next, we'll save that for the next episode. But what's cool about the 16700 is that it's got all the markings of a vintage watch, in the sense that the lume is super creamy. It's tritium, but it has a sapphire glass, unlike the version right before it, which was the sort of acrylic crystal, which I'm sure vintage heads that are listening will be like, that's awful.
Yeah.
But I like the sort of modern vintage, if you will, or neo vintage look of it. So I don't wear it a ton, but I love it, and plan to wear it a lot more this summer.
Excellent. Are we sure that's it?
I think so.
Okay. All right.
I think so. I think I got a Baltic in there somewhere, but
otherwise we'll edit it in.
Yeah. Let me tell you a little bit about my time in Geneva, because there's some cool stuff in there. So first of all, I went to the Patek Philippe Museum, which I highly recommend to anyone and everyone. And if you're listening to this podcast, like, it's definitely for you. It was like 3 floors of just the history of Patek Philippe. They have so many different pieces in there, like pocket watches and wristwatches.
Is it actually attached to the factory, or is it a completely different location?
Completely different location. It's like in the center of Geneva.
Okay.
And it's not even attached to their boutique or salon, if you will.
There's no boutique in there?
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So just museum.
It's just a museum, yeah. And there was a line around the block because I'm an idiot and didn't buy tickets ahead of time. Nor did I go through my Patek person at Tiffany to like set up an appointment for me.
Can they do that?
They can.
Okay.
They can, and they can set up like a private tour as well. But based on when I was there,
what are you doing?
No, I asked about that, and the museum told me that they didn't have private tours anymore through the end of the year, and would pick it up again in January. Okay. So I was there, at an interesting time. So anyway, well worth it. Like, we waited probably an hour to get in the freezing cold, and it was still worth it. And
did you wear a Patek?
I had to.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah,
just checking.
Maybe that's a little cheesy, like wearing a band T-shirt to the concert, but it felt like
I would have done the same.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't have one, but yeah, if I did and I was there, I would.
I was hoping it would somehow let me skip the line, and I don't think they cared that I was wearing a Patek. And then so speaking of that, I went to the Patek Philippe salon, which did not have a line to get in, and I don't know. Coming from the U.S., my general sort of comment about being in Geneva in particular, everyone at these boutiques were so nice. Like, so nice. And they wanted you to be there. They were very upfront whether they could sell you something or they couldn't. Yeah. They didn't care that they had nothing to sell you. They were like, let's spend an hour together and you can try on any watch you want, like
Wow.
that kind of vibe,
All right.
which is obviously so different from what we're used
From
to
here,
yeah.
Yeah.
So I tried on every perpetual calendar chronograph they had. I tried on some Nautilus, like, you know, it was
So they had everything. They had everything, at least in sort of an exhibition model.
everything in the modern catalog.
Wow.
That
All right.
is their sort of claim to fame,
Yeah.
if you will. And it is stunning inside. It looks like you feel like you're in like a Victorian castle. They have like these, it's very high ceilings, and it's really old wooden desks that you go sit with a sales associate with. The sales associate was super honest, told me like how many pieces they got in a year of each model we looked at. And you know, he said people always want to come here and think it's going to be easier to buy a Patek Philippe.
Right.
He goes, the truth is, like, we actually not only have locals, but like we are everyone in Europe's like local Patek dealer, because they think that the salon's going to be the best place to get
Sure.
it because we have every model in exhibition and everything, blah blah blah. But he's like, that makes it even, you know, triply hard for tourists to come and get a watch.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we just have so many people in line. It's not like I don't want to sell you a watch. And yes, there's certain pieces that we can only sell locally. And he was like, but if you ask me for something and I have it, I'll sell it to you. He's like,
Wow.
I'm not going to open my catalog and tell you what I have available, because we want you to actually want it.
Yeah.
But like,
So they did have watches.
yeah, I think they,
I mean,
at the end of the day, I got out of him that like he would sell me a regulator, you know, that, I'll find the reference and edit it in or something, but it's a beautiful watch, but also like heavily discounted on the secondary market. So
Right.
that's the kind of watch you
Okay,
get
yeah,
there,
yeah.
you know? But that was cool. The weirdest thing, I almost bought the Louis Vuitton Convergence watch. That is, for the people that don't know, I think they call it a drag hour. It looks like a jump hour, but it's basically just like solid gold, rose gold, on the front of the case where the crystal would be. And then it's just a little window on top for the hours and minutes. And it's a beautiful watch. And I met like the head of watches for Geneva of Louis Vuitton. They were like super nice to me. They brought me up to this like private floor, and I don't know why they were willing to sell it to me, but just they were impressed that I even knew about like La Fabrique du Temps and all of LV's watchmaking abilities. And so they were like, yeah, we'll absolutely sell you this. And then I said, oh shit, okay, like I'm just going for a fondue lunch and I'll be right back. And I'm sitting at lunch with my girlfriend, and we're talking back and forth about whether or not I should like get this watch. And ultimately, like, I think I was just getting swept up in the moment.
Sure,
like I really
sure,
like
sure.
it, but it was still like, you know, I don't remember what it was, 35,000 or 40,000 Swiss franc. It's not a cheap watch by any means. And it deserves that price, meaning the movement inside and the watchmaking and the finishing was incredible. But something about Louis Vuitton on the front of the watch just didn't feel right to me.
Okay.
You know, I don't know. Like at 20, maybe it's a watch I'd consider. It just I was getting swept up in the moment, and I'm very happy I decided to walk out and just like grab some fresh air and some lunch and
Just take a beat.
yeah.
Yeah.
So lesson learned. Definitely take that beat.
Yeah. Always.
Yeah, and then, you know, I went to the Rolex there, which I should add that the Patek Philippe in Geneva is actually operated by Patek Philippe. It's one of only 3 in the world, I believe. There's that one. There's one in Paris on Place Vendôme, and I think the one in London.
Yeah.
Those are 3 that are actually operated by Patek, and those are the only ones in the world. Rolex, the only one in the world that Rolex operates, is in Geneva. So again, they had every model in the catalog.
Amazing.
They were super open. It's just, we're not going to sell you a fucking watch, dude. Like, that's just not happening. Well,
I like that they set expectations.
Oh yeah. Actually, they did say they would sell me a yellow gold Submariner, which I said thanks, but no thanks.
Okay.
So that was nice. They were open. They were like, here's what we can sell you. Like, before you ask, like, this is all we
Like
have.
that was actually the only one.
Yeah,
they would sell you.
there may have been one other precious metal watch that no one ever wants. Maybe
Okay.
it was like the big deep. No, it wasn't the deep sea. Some other precious metal. It was a Submariner and something else, and like it wasn't anything desirable and something that was obviously discounted in the secondary. But I got to try on the Tiffany dial the Tiffany dial Daytona on Oysterflex, which, damn.
Wait, you didn't try on the Le Mans?
You know, I didn't even ask. I doubt they had it. That's off catalog. So
Is it off catalog?
it is. The first one was in catalog.
Okay.
And the second one and the third one have been off catalog.
Okay.
So I don't think I would, but weird that I'd even ask. Good point, seeing as that's like my favorite watch ever. But I have tried on a Le Mans before at Philips. Anyway, I tried on that Oyster Flex turquoise blue dial Daytona. And it's amazing. I love it. I know you're a little mixed on it.
Everyone's told me, well, not everyone, but anyone that's seen it, in the metal has told me that you've got to see it in real life, and that the pictures just don't do it justice. So I will take your word for it that as you wore it on your wrist, it was a very different experience than seeing the pictures as I have. So I've always made that reservation in my mind that I wanted to see it before I sort of passed judgment on it. But yeah, didn't love it in pictures, but I assume it's very different just because everyone seems to be saying that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Again, super hyped. So take that as you will. But it was great. And then,
but you have the tuner.
I have the Tudor. I would not compare the two. I would not compare them at all. Though a lot of people think they should have done that turquoise Daytona.
Well, let me ask you this question: if you were able to get that turquoise Daytona, would that become your gym watch?
Are you out of your mind?
I mean, I'm just saying, like you're wearing the Tudor in the gym.
That's steel. So this is yellow gold.
I mean,
yeah,
just checking.
Yeah,
just checking.
It would be a beach watch.
Oh, I mean, definitely.
Beach pool.
Turquoise always sort of signifies. I think that color, and I think two things: Tiffany and Miami.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes and yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, not my gym watch, but good question. I think we should do a trip to Geneva. It's still too late for Watches and Wonders this year, but I think
we keep saying that, but maybe next year.
Yeah. Well, we just started new jobs. Obviously, got a lot of personal stuff going on, but next year we should definitely make it out to Watches and Wonders, and that's a good way to tee up our next episode, which will be on what the hell we think is going to happen at Watches and Wonders. All right. Well, it's great to be back, Gene.
Absolutely, and we need to not take a break of this length again, and so apologies to listeners out there. Promise to do better.
Yes, and some point this year we're actually going to be on video. We're gonna work our way up to the 21st century here. I forgot how
multimodal.
I forgot how we end this podcast, Gene.
I don't remember either.
Well, it's been real.
Until next time.
And we'll see you next time on the Dialed In Pod.